Gaooo gaooo食べちゃおう. Hold on a minute while I get this little sip from my drink. In the spirit of summer, I have an actual little drink with me. It is a strawberry soda with ice. And normally I never drink soda, so like I know it's a bad habit. But hello everyone! Let me get a real quick sip. God, I love strawberry soda. Hello! Hello, Semetil. Ohayo gozaimasu. Hachinichi. Ohayo! Dainese audio. Hachinichi. 今日はね、僕の自分の乙女芸が海外の雑誌、僕の乙女芸のことを書きました。すごいでしょ。信じらんない。Hello, Nanashi Ichigo. God, I love Ichigo. He was ace last weekend. Oh my God, Halo, I am so jealous. I'm so jealous. Also, hello, Dolcino, Semetil, Halo, Hachinichi, and Nanashi. I think that's everyone. You're going to Anime Expo. Rub salt in the wound. Why don't you? Let me get rid of this comment box. Hold on, it's a little in the way. There. I'm so jealous. Hold on, it looks like chat is frozen a little bit. Let me fix it. There! Okay. I'm so jealous you get to go to Anime Expo. Have fun! Unfortunately, this year is the first year I will not be able to go to Fanime, which is a big convention in California. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go. It's the first time in like 17 years that I have not gone to Fanime. And I'm really bummed about it. I'm not able to afford the hotel, and I'm not able to afford the airfare this time. So I will not be going to Fanime this year, and I'm super, super bummed. I've always gone. And it's a real bummer. I also can't afford Offkai. Offkai is also in California. I cannot afford airfare. Or hotel! Actually, Offkai is held in the very same convention center as Fanime, which is the San Jose Convention Center. And I went to the very first Offkai. I went to the very first Offkai. And I think since then it's grown into a larger convention, which is great. But I can't afford it. You know, pretty much all of my savings, all of my money, all of my focus right now is on my Otome game crowdfund. You can see up here. We are at 74%. I'm really hoping that we can reach 100% by June. I don't know if it'll happen, but I will hope. I will hope that maybe we can make 100% by June. At the moment, that's for like literally like every single dollar. I'm like thinking about like where to put it. You know, do I put it towards, you know, bills? Do I put it towards like groceries? Do I put it towards the game? You know, so like I'm really money conscious at the moment. So unfortunately, I cannot afford to go to any conventions unless there's like anything local near me. You all know that I moved recently. Maybe they have something here at my new place. I don't know. We shall see. And I'm also learning how to drive. So that'd be so cool if I could drive myself to like a small local convention. I've been learning how to do like right turn, left turn, reversing, parking, all that kind of stuff I've been learning. Turn signals, forward, back, brakes. I've been learning how to do all that stuff. There's no strict time limit on the game, right? Well, there is a time limit because I'll talk about this a little in depth in a minute, but you know, I was hoping for there to be like a demo, like a Taikemba, like a trial version by the end of this year. That was my hope. I wanted to have a trial version like by fall or winter of this year, Q4 2026. And you know, for that to happen, I need to have at least 2 chapters worth of assets done, so that means CG, that means voice acting. Hello, Kay. How are you doing? How are you doing? Scary bear driving? It was scary. It was scary, but slowly and surely, I think I'm slowly getting a little more confident about it. Maybe. At least I'm no longer having dreams and nightmares about horrifically crashing and dying in a car crash. So that's good, I think. I'm slowly trying to conquer that fear. Anyway, so it's there's not like technically a limit, I guess, but I do want to have a demo out by the end of this year, and that means I need to finish paying for assets, which is voice acting, background music, backgrounds, CG, and of course programming, and sound design, sound editing. The good news is I finished recording with 1 character as of this week. As of this week, all of Mabel's lines are finished. I'm sorry, was that too extreme for you, chat? I'm sorry. I have like really gory, horrible nightmares. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm scared of them so much. I always have like these like most horrific nightmares you could imagine, like real gory, horrible stuff. Boy, I love anxiety. I love intrusive thoughts. Wow. Anyway. So, good luck. Thank you, Halo. So, the good news is I have 1 voice actor wrapped up. 1 voice actor we are still in the middle of recording. We're probably gonna need like at least another month to finish recording with this 1 voice actor I'm currently working with. Because we have a slower pace. And then there's 1 voice actor I have not begun recording with, and they are the one I need to pay. I haven't paid them yet, and they're the one I really need to pay. It's a big chunk of change, and I don't have enough to cover it yet. And then, of course, I still need to have programming, user interface. I haven't paid for the user interface yet. You know, there's like things up in the air. So there is like kind of a time limit. I'm supposed to begin recording with the last voice actor in like June or July. Hopefully, June or July, we can get started with recording with that final voice actor, but that also means I need to have the money in hand so I can pay them, you know? So there is kind of a time limit, and I am kind of nervous about it, but let me talk about the good stuff, okay? Let me talk about the good stuff, okay? Good stuff. Somebody, who is it? Pixel? Noisy Pixel covered my game. And hello, Sarabin. I've been driving for over a decade. After you get your license, to get used to it, it'll be second nature. Oh, I hope so. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, because I am so anxious. I have real bad anxiety. How much do you need for the VA? Ooh, 1,500 for the last VA. Yeah. I'm sorry, I distracted myself. Anyway, noisy Pixel. These people. Mr. Azario Lopez was very kind to write a article about my game. Oh my god. And so I'm gonna read it out loud because I'm so flattered. I screamed. When I saw this, I screamed of like, ah! And I was reading it aloud to Mama Kuma. I was so hyped. I thought about it all night. I was just feeling good about it. I'll read it out loud. Captured by the Wedding Veil trailer revealed for a Megaverse-inspired Otome and Yuri visual novel by Azario Lopez, May 19th, 2026. And then they have a link. They have a link right here to the trailer. Oh, thank you, Dolcino! Screaming! I was literally screaming. I was screaming at Mama Kuma. Did you scare Tommy and Momo? Tommy and Momo were asleep. They didn't really care. I don't think they cared. I don't think they cared much. Thank you, Dolcino. Thank you. Okay, let me read this. I gotta read this. Indie developer motokumakko Works, so that's me, has revealed the first trailer for Captured by the Wedding Veil, Kinda no Kubiwa. This link will take you to my Ko-Fi. It'll take you to my Ko-Fi. Yeah, Mama Kuma is pretty chill about that. She knows what I'm into. You know, she's read like at least part of my writing. I don't go around showing her my fanfiction. But, like, she's read, like, my writing before. She knows I'm a good writer. She knows I do VTubing. She knows, like, I'm super into lolicon and stuff. Like, she's very chill in that department. So that's good. An upcoming Omegaverse-inspired visual novel featuring both the Otome and Yuri romance routes. Huzzah! The title is currently in its late crowdfunding phase and is planned for release as a free PC title via Steam and Just USA, with a playable demo scheduled for Q4 2026. Oh my god, they even have the sprites that I posted on Twitter! The project mixes forbidden romance themes with a branching cast of love interests across both lesbian and heterosexual routes. The game is rated 17+ and centers around an Omegaverse-like setting, a subgenre commonly associated with hierarchical relationship dynamics and romance-focused storytelling. Motokumakko Works, so that's me again. That's me! Also confirmed several voice actors attached to the project, including Michaela Laws as Maple Sharon and Hira Gil as Fuyuko Asaka. Additional cast members include Bob Craig Jack as Oleander Bregman and Motokumakko, that's me! As Melissa Bregman. Some of the actors involved, meaning Michaela, have previously appeared in projects such as Sucker for Love, that's Michaela, and Glitch Productions' Knights of Guinevere, again, Michaela. While full gameplay details have not been shared, the reveal positions Captured by the Wedding Veil, Kinda no Kubiwa, as a narrative-driven visual novel aimed at fans of romance-heavy indie releases and character-focused storytelling. A new trailer accompanied the announcement, offering an early look at the game's cast, tone, and visual presentation ahead of its planned demo release next year. I don't know why they said next year. It's supposed to be this year. The demo is supposed to be this year. Anyway, what do you think about Captured by the Wedding Veil, Kinda no Kubiwa so far? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned to Noisy Pixel for more indie visual novel coverage. That is so cool. That is so cool. That is really flattering and humbling. And let me move myself. That is really kind of them to do that, to write about little old me and my game, and like it's not like it's Doki Doki Literature Club or like what's another, like Katawa Shoujo. It's not like it's Katawa Shoujo, okay? It's not like that level of like quality, like okay, I phrased that wrong. It's a high quality visual novel, especially given it's a free one, but it's not like as prolific, I should say. It's not as famous, I should say, as like Katawa Shoujo or Doki Doki Literature Club. I believe Doki Doki Literature Club was a free game at its beginning. I think, maybe I'm wrong. I believe it was free in the beginning. Let me get another sip of water, and then I got my little soda. I'm trying to cut down on sugar, but like, it's really hot. I deserve to have a soda. Even better, we can finish sooner and people will be like, whoa! That would be cool. That would be cool. It really depends on this dumb, stupid, it depends on this dumb little bar up here. I need to get it to at least 90%. Once it's at 90%, then I can relax a little bit. I can relax a little bit once we hit 90%. I was really, really hoping. It was like 100 to get. It's so hot. It's so hot. I hate it. It's so hot. I don't like it. It's so hot in here. Like, I have this huge PC tower. It's very hot in here. Anyway, it really depends on how far the crowdfund goes, you know, because I've like stretched it to its like very limit, you know, and I'm starting to take money out of my own account to pay for it, and if we can get to 90%, then I will start to like relax a little bit. I hope that's an F and not C. Yeah, it's I don't know how hot it is today. It certainly feels hot. Hold on a minute, actually. Speaking of which, let me open a window or something. Hold on. Well, that's kind of better. Well, that's kind of better. I mean, I kind of feel less warm. I'm not wearing a sweater, so that's good. It was so cold this morning, but it's hot right now. Hello, Naruko Kotawaru. Hello, Naruko Kotawaru. 2283. Hello. So yeah, I'm very flattered. I'm very grateful that I had, this coverage of my game, and I even did like a little TikTok. I did like a little TikTok in celebration, and then I immediately got blocked by YouTube for like copyright infringement for like the song. I used a Panic at the Disco song, so I changed it to like a Nightcore version of the song, and I still got blocked. And then for some reason OBS was giving me trouble. It made me super pixelated. I want to make sure that I don't have the same trouble during the stream. If I start going pixelated or like freezing or something, chat, let me know. Because I was really worried when my footage from this morning ended up really pixelated. I don't know why it ended up pixelated, but it ended up being really pixelated in the TikTok. And then I just didn't want to change it. People were already commenting, so you're just gonna have to deal with the pixelated TikTok, okay? Or whatever it is, the YouTube short. It's essentially a TikTok, let's be real. Hello, Xenomorphka, I love the little bear. Classic YouTube, yeah. I've been bonked by YouTube before. I've been bonked for like linking websites that like might have adult content. I've been bonked for like, this video has like adult content and it was like a birthday stream? Hello, YouTube? YouTube-san, daijoubu desu ka? Like, are you okay, YouTube? Like, I've been bonked for like the dumbest things. It's like, you know, this thumbnail's too sexy, and it's like angel dust, fully dressed, but like his like fluffy chest is out. So like I guess the fluffy chest is too sexy for YouTube. Could it be an upload speed issue? I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know why. Maybe because it was a recording and not a stream. Like I set my recording to 6,000 kbps, I think, which should be well within YouTube and Twitch guidelines. Should be well within what's like a stable rate for YouTube and Twitch. But yeah, it was like really pixelated when I was just like recording. It was just recording with the green screen. I don't know why. It was frustrating, but whatever. If it gives me trouble again, I might console a friend who's really good at that kind of stuff. They're really good at like tech stuff. I am really bad at tech stuff. Hello, Pumpkin! I'm glad you made it! I'm just talking a little bit about my game. How are you? I had a question. Where did the idea of the game Captured by the Wedding Veil come from? It came from a short story that I wrote. I wrote a short story a couple years ago. About maybe 4 years ago, I wrote a short story. And it was very different. It was very different than the way you see it in Captured by the Wedding Veil. Let me get a quick sip of water and then I'll continue. I swear I'm gonna commission you. Gas is expensive. Oh god, I'm so sorry about the gas. I know, it sucks. Everything is so expensive now. But like make sure like you have enough for, you know, yourself, Pumpkin, make sure. But I will gladly accept commissions. Anyway. So there was a short story that I wrote about 4 or 5 years. Actually, hold on. Let me look up. When did I write that? Let me look at my AO3. Because of course I uploaded to AO3. Hold on. Okay. I wrote this short story back in, God, where is it? 2020. Holy crap! I wrote it 6 years ago. December 14th, 2020. I wrote a short story. Has it really been that long? I guess so. Alright. So I wrote a short story. And the prompt was dystopia. And I kind of took it and I ran with it. Bear with me, I need to cough for a moment. So the prompt was just like dystopia. That was it. Dystopia. That was it. And I decided to put in Yuri. And I decided to put in some dead dove, taboo staples, like all my favorite stuff, like class difference, age difference, status difference, stuff like that. So in my original short story, it was very different from the premise that you see in Captured by the Wedding Vow. In the short story, men were like extinct. There were no men. They were extinct, totally, like gone, extinct. Men, they were just gone. How did they populate the earth then, you ask? Well, sperm banks is how. With like leftover like sperm, I guess. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a frog in my throat today. So you know, it's only females, female-only world, right? And the family system with the wives and the husbands still existed. That was like the basis. That was like the basis of my story. With the wife system and the husband system, wives were women who were assigned to be like the heteronormative female role, like homemakers, housewives, stuff. And there were the husband roles who were women that were assigned to be like the opposite. They were assigned to be like the quote-unquote man, quote-unquote, of the relationship. And I am saying this, you have to understand this is like supposed to be a deconstruction of these gender norms. It's supposed to be taking down this heteronormativity. Okay, I am not condoning heteronormativity, alright? In fact, I love to smash the gender norms, alright? But for the sake of this story being a dystopian story, you know, you had women who were assigned to be the stereotypical feminine role, and then you had women that were assigned to be the stereotypical masculine role, right? So in this case, in this short story, I took it to like the extremes, right? I've never... What is the Brave New World? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Are you talking about the Marvel? Are you talking about the Marvel movie? That's the only thing I know by that title. But in this version, in the short story, okay, in the short story, not only were men extinct, okay, there was no heat, there was no rut, there was no alpha, beta, omega type relationship. There was none of that. There was no heat and no rut. They didn't have those kind of dynamics. That was completely absent. So what it was basically was women forced to be stereotypically female, stereotypically masculine, and the women who were stereotypically masculine had to undergo... How do I put this gently? Female genital mutilation, alright? Yeah. Basically, you know, their genitals were sewn shut, so they couldn't use them in the proper way, and they were forced to take testosterone, so they had like facial hair and stuff like that. It's like, it's so messed up, it's so fucked up, chat. It's so messed up, chat. It's supposed to be messed up. It's a dystopia. It's supposed to be messed up, okay? It's like, please don't take this to be like a jab at anything. If anything, it's just me trying to tear down gender norms, okay? So, and also I love cross-dressing women, so yes, I wanna be real clear. Real clear. Everybody deserves gender-affirming care, alright? Everybody deserves gender-affirming care, okay? But because this is a dystopia, it was forced upon them, not gender-affirming care, like the opposite. What do you call that? Unaffirming. Yeah, essentially, with the body mutilation and all that. So basically women were forced to masquerade as men, they were forced to go by he, him pronouns, and all that jazz. So the premise of this story was a teacher, Whitaker, and she's in the role of a teacher, she teaches a classroom, and she has a student named Mickey. Not Mickey Mouse, alright, not Mickey Mouse. And Whitaker was... Yeah, thank you, Seraphin. It just sounds really, really bad out of context, but like, I promise you, this is not something, I do not condone forcing people to be anything they don't identify as in real life. Trans men are men and trans women are women, and, trans rights for all, especially nowadays, okay? But like, this is a story, okay? This is a story. It has nothing to do with real life beliefs, okay? Okay, alright. So there's Whitaker the teacher, and she, even though she goes by he, him pronouns because it's part of the dystopia, she she teaches a student Mickey, and Mickey is a young girl, she's like 15 or so, and Whitaker is like in her 30s, yeah? And Mickey's her student, right? She's her student. And Mickey ends up being assigned to Whitaker as a family. So not only does it like completely... It tosses that whole age requirement out of the window. And that was something I originally kept intact in the script for Captured by the Wedding Veil. I was like... The real dystopian part of this is that you can be assigned to anybody, regardless of blood relation, regardless of age, like regardless of status, regardless of anything, you can be assigned to anybody, and that's what's so terrifying about it, You could have incest, you could have age difference of like, something wildly unethical, and that's what makes it so scary, and obviously I had to toss that out when I decided to make it 17 plus instead of 18 plus. So for Captured by the Wedding Veil, I made it so that everybody is 18 when they get their letter. However, just because they're 18 when they get their letter doesn't mean that, there can't be some shenanigans going on in this dystopian hellscape that they all live in. So basically, Whitaker, the teacher, gets assigned to Mickey, her own student, and Mickey has a bit of a crush on Whitaker. Mickey just begins menstruation, which is the catalyst for getting her letter. It was supposed to be anytime you get your menstruation, anytime you begin like puberty is when you get your letter. So like regardless of age, basically, you could be 15, when you get your letter. If you start menstruating at that time, you could be 18, But to make it like less grotesque, I bumped it up to 18 because this is a 17 and plus game, so I changed it to everybody has to be 18, just like as a baseline, and that also leans into the fact that procreation is a big aspect of this world. Forced marriage, forced procreation, forced matrimony, this cohabitation that is forced upon these characters. And of course, Whitaker ends up attempting suicide because she is just like really horrified at the thought of having to, marry her student. She's really horrified at that. She attempts suicide, she survives. Mickey has like a complete crush on Whitaker. She doesn't really understand what's being asked of her. They end up being assigned together, they end up living in the house together, and it ends with Whitaker, artificially inseminating Mickey. And it ends with Mickey, she is so naive at this point. She doesn't really understand how her own reproductive system works. So she's like, oh, my period stopped. That's great. She doesn't even really understand the gravity, the bodily trauma of what she's going through, what she's going to have to face, and that's where it ended. I did flirt with the idea of making a sequel, in which case she would have miscarried, because I personally, I have tocophobia, which is a fear of pregnancy. It's a big fear of mine, like a real, genuine fear of mine. Genuinely, ugh. So I only like to have pregnancy in the context of fiction, and only as body horror, only as like a horrific element, like not a happy element. So that was the short story, and as you can see, a lot of things changed from the short story to the game. In the game, everybody has to be 18, baseline age, in order to get the letter. And get assigned to somebody, and I did keep that it doesn't matter who you get. It doesn't matter, like, blood relation, doesn't matter. That's how, you have a case where a sister is assigned to her own brother. You have that kind of lurking horror of the incest. Body horror in real life, God. Too true. Let's not talk about that. I'm over 30 and I haven't gotten my letter. Surely being male doesn't have anything to do with it. Yeah, in the original, there were no men. In this version, in Captured by the Wedding Veil, I decided to include men, and I decided to include alpha, beta, omega dynamics, because I love Omegaverse, alright? I love Omegaverse. Like the forced breeding, the like biological imperative, like the struggle between like instinct and human emotion and human heart and obsession and love, and what do you do when you have to battle your own rationale? Your own instincts are telling you something and your heart tells you something else. It's like the bodily horror. It's like a whole thing. I really enjoy Omegaverse. So I wanted to combine this old short story with Omegaverse. That's when I kind of introduced like this really strict husband and wife system, that it wasn't really like very thought out in the original short story. Do you want to read the short story? I can give you all a link to it. Let me pull it up. Where is it? I have it on my AO3. You can all read the original short story here. Please, God, mind the warnings. There is so much body horror and non-con and everything. Like, please, God, mind the warnings. Please mind the warnings. Please mind the warnings. Please mind the warnings. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that. It is full of triggering material. Please mind it. Yeah, it's still on AO3. You can read it there. In fact, you can read, like, my very first novel is up there on AO3 that I wrote. I wrote it when I was, like, 15. I wrote it when I was, like, 15. Like, that really old, my first novel's up there. But, the short story I wrote about 6 years ago. I wrote in 2020. That's pretty recent, right? Right? Anyway, the whole house is hungry for it. I'm pretty sure I read it out loud before. I'm pretty sure I did like a reading of it before, and I skipped the sex scene at the end. Yeah. Anyway, so, I toned down significantly. I toned down a lot of elements of the short story for the game, Like I said, I added an age of consent. I also included men because I have hiccups. I added men because I wanted there to be like an otome route. I wanted there to be a heterosexual route in addition to Yuri, because I wanted to be able to call it an otome game. And Yuri seems to lack the appeal that Otome does. So I wanted there to be both Het and Yuri. So there's one obligatory Het route, and then 2 Yuri routes. And the Yuri route is where like the real meat and potatoes of the story is, The Het route I recommend first because it's more like an introduction. It doesn't really address the larger mystery. There's like a larger mystery going on in this story that you find out at the end of chapter 1. And then Oleander's route doesn't really touch on that mystery at the end of chapter 1. But Fuyuko's route expand on it, and Mabel's route really answers the question about the mystery that I can't really talk about in detail because it's a spoiler. But there's like a big overarching plot and a big overarching mystery that's introduced at the end of chapter 1. And you'll find out more the more you read about it. Yuri and Het being in the same game is really interesting. Usually I see stories leaning into one or the other. I've played otome games where there's both, you know. Gekka, Ryoda, and Romance was Baby's first otome game. It was my first otome game for the PSP. And it had a Yuri route with Yaya Haradaria, voiced by Saiga Mitsuki. It had a Yuri route, and that literally was the game that got me into otome games. Because I was like, who is this hot woman? Oh my god! And, you know, I got a PSP. My Japanese was really not good back then. And I played Gekka, Ryoda, and Romance. And I only played the Yuri route. Even now, I still haven't finished it because I keep getting stuck. Even though I have a guide, I keep getting stuck on some of the endings. Maybe it's a bug, I don't know. But that Yuri ending for Gekka, Ryoda, and Romance is like really pivotal. Really pivotal. And I thought that was so cool that you could have Yuri route. You could have otome games with Yuri route and Het routes. You could have male or female options. Other otome games that do this are like Oz Mafia. They're Pashet, a female knight. She has a route. And Tricker Alice, which is like an Alice in Wonderland type otome game. That one also has a female route, and like I don't care if people are gonna say, but they're friends. I don't care. It's a Yuri. You're not looking at it properly. It's a Yuri route. So like Trick or Alice and like Oz Mafia and like Gekka, Ryoda, and Romance, like those are 3 right off the top of my head that all have Yuri routes, despite having a majority of male love interests, you know? And I kind of wanted to do the reverse. I wanted to have one minority male love interest and the rest female love interest. So that's what I did. I kind of wanted to appeal to both, but maybe that was my mistake because when I tried to promote it, all I got was people saying, that's not a real otome game! You don't know what an otome game is! It's like, are you sure, buddy? I've been into otome game longer than you've probably been alive. I used to work as a translator. I used to work, you know, as a beta tester. You know, I learned Japanese. I'm a JLPT level 2. You know, I'm very well versed and very experienced in the world of otome game and BL game and Yuri games and you know eroge and visual novels in general. I'm pretty knowledgeable in that subject, and that is why, because I know it so well, that's when I can start to break the rules a little bit because I'm so knowledgeable about it. Not to brag, I hate to brag, but I am kind of very knowledgeable about visual novels, and as such, that's my prerogative to kind of break the rules a little bit. Why shouldn't an otome game have 2 female love interests, you know? Why shouldn't there only be one male love interest in an otome game? Why not, you know? Why not? There's no reason. You know, for me, an otome game needs to fall into 3 criteria. 1, be a visual novel. 2, you play as a female or a woman. 3, you date a male or a man love interest. That's it. Those are the only criteria for an otome game. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to write something that I would want to play, you know? And I do want to play it. I'm excited for it. The voice actors all sound amazing. Like, the sprites are almost done. So, like, I'm super excited, and I really hope we get fully funded soon. I'm hoping that with like, coverage, press coverage, and, like, people finding my shorts, I'm hoping that we will get more donations. You know, we've been kind of in a little bit of a standstill. So I hope that we make more progress. Also, chat, I have to give you a health update. June 2nd, I have to go to the hospital. Relax, nothing major. So as you know, I have a mammogram next week for that weird lump. And then June 2nd, I have an endoscopy. And the endoscopy is when they sedate you, or they put you under anesthesia and they put a camera down your throat. This is because I have some trouble swallowing. I'm super nervous about it because I've had an endoscopy before, but for some reason mine isn't until 2 in the afternoon and I'm not allowed to eat or drink for like 8 hours before that. Anyway, I'm super nervous. So that week, that first week of June, there will be like no streams. There will be no streams that week of June, because I will be undergoing that procedure. Obviously, I'm going to be on Twitter, and I'll let you guys know I'm okay when I'm done. But I'm really nervous. I had it done once before, and it was inconclusive. They found, like, pretty much nothing, and I had the worst sore throat for weeks afterwards. So, that first week of June, I'm not gonna be doing streams, because I'm gonna be super sore and probably really, like, you know, disoriented from the drugs. Yeah. Are you going to make games and do game development from now on? I'm already making games and doing game development. I'm already doing it. This is my second game. My first game was R18. My first game was, oh my god. The Milk of Repentance, the Wine of Sin. That was my first game. It was a fan game. It was also free. That one's R18. And I wanted to start over and make a new game that was entirely original and like not tainted by bad experiences of the last process of making the last game. So this is my second game. I don't think I could make games full time because they're not commercial games. If I was making like commercial games full time and they like sold a lot, that's one thing, yeah. But like I'm still gonna YouTube, you know. I'm still gonna YouTube, of course. Yeah, that was the has-been that. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. That was the legally distinct parody of a series that happens to be about demons on Amazon Prime. I don't know what you're talking about. It's legally distinct. Yeah. 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 Oh my god, I hope it goes well. Stay safe. Thank you. I'm quite nervous, but I'm just trying not to think about it. I'm trying not to think about how I could be at Fanime having fun, and instead I'm at here getting a freaking endoscopy. Anyway, I'm just trying not to think about it. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant the Has-Been Motel. Yeah, it's the Has-Been Motel one. Yeah, trying to wink. Yeah, that one. Okay, let me see. Hold on. So let me put this away. I don't need my fancy drink anymore. Okay, let's go over to gaming. Let's pull this up. And let's get rid of that. There we go. And let's go over to gaming. Today we're going to be playing LKYT. It is a BL game by Parade. They're the same people who did Room Number 9, which was amazing. And they also did No Thank You, which I haven't played yet. So let's get going. Let's go gay those games. Alright, let's put me right here. Let me pull up the game. Chat, stop freezing on me. Anyway, so if you want to like support my game, like money is the best way to do it. Donations is the best way to do it, honestly. Or, you know, you don't have to donate. You can tell your friends about it. You can like spread the word. You can talk about it on Reddit. You can talk about it on like Discord. Where else do the children talk? Where does the youth talk nowadays? Discord, Reddit, TikTok, I don't know. Vine? No, Vine is dead. Whatever, something like that. Anyway, let me pull up the game. So I've never played this before. I'm so excited. Can we choose the routes? The routes for this one or the routes for my game? Which one? Hold on, let me pull it up. Okie dokie. How do I feel about doing a nifty impression? I mean, I can try my best. Hi, Alistair! I mean, it just sounds like me, honestly. The one for this one. Yeah, sure. Sure. Why not? Let me move this a little over here. That's good. Whoops, wait, what happened? We have our beautiful Uke here. I believe he's an Uke. I mean, I could probably do a nifty impression. Honestly, I prefer writing commissions because they're easier for me. And they don't hurt my throat too much. If I have a voice commission, it takes a lot. It takes for me to get the right one. I generally prefer writing commissions, but yeah. Alright, start. So, I skipped ahead a little bit. There shouldn't be any H scenes at this part, at the beginning, so that's good. So this, in case you don't know, Parade is a, sub-brand of ClockUp, and they have, amazing quality games. Dry branches lying atop the grass crackled softly underfoot. The chilly morning mist felt as if it clung to my skin. Breathing it deeply into my lungs caused a refreshing sort of tension to emanate from within my body. The woods around the mountain were so quiet at this time of morning, it was almost deafening. Only the rain-like patter of footsteps cut through the morning mist as our party of 10 walked along the trail. Suddenly, I heard one of our party members stop.
Tasuku-san, あそこ! Tasuku-san, あそこ! Tasuku-san, あそこ!
He looks. Stop playing the line. He looks like a bottom. He looks like an uke to me.
鹿ですよね、あれ。
Arata, who was walking right alongside me, stopped and looked at me with a cheerful expression. He lowered his voice to a whisper, as if he were sharing some secret.
やっべえ、初めて見た。かっこいいな、あの角の形。
He pointed with a smile, and I saw a rare creature that I'd never spotted near the capital. Capital with an A, not capital with an O? Oh well, I couldn't help but stop in my tracks too. It had beautiful black eyes, set against glistening brown fur. Its long antlers were like gnarled tree branches. It was undoubtedly a deer. Hello, River. Like it or not, here I am! Have you seen the videos of deer shedding their antlers? I have not. I've never seen that. This area was much more lush than anywhere near the capital. The deer was silently chewing as it foraged for native grasses and shrubs. Arata had lowered his voice so as to not frighten the deer, but the animal's senses were unsurprisingly sharp. It immediately turned its head to look at us. Run away! They want to eat you, run away! By the time we realized we had been spotted, it had already turned and vanished back into the woods.
あ、行っちゃった。
I found the sound of regret in his voice amusing, but couldn't help but smile. My mic is way low, okay? How's that? This better? I turned it up quite a bit. How's this? Let me know how this mic sound. Chat's about to talk about your mic too. Okay, how is this? Let me see if I can turn down. So much better? Awesome. Turn down the BGM a bit. There we are. All right. I'm not gonna test it. I want to, but I'm not gonna test it. Background voice. Oh my god. Quality peak. All right. Wait, I want to see what the ending screams is. Alright. Alright, that's enough. Your voice is louder in the mix for sure. Okay. If you want me to turn down the game some more and turn my voice up, let me know. I'm sorry, I don't know how it got messed up like that. How's that? Good? This okay? Let me know.
昨日からずっとその調子だな、新た。
Spaghetti noises. We were roughly 3 days' travel from the capital. The area was full of plants and wildlife that we never had the opportunity to see back home, and Arata would get a gleam in his eye each time he made a new discovery. Whenever he did, he would seem to get younger before my very eyes.
なんかはしゃぎすぎですかね。
I'm gonna ask everybody, no spoilers, okay? Don't spoil this for me.
記録する。
Maybe it was sudden embarrassment at his own innocence, but Arata looked at me shyly. But they were both bottoms.
初めての遠征ならみんな似たようなものじゃないか。
Hold on, wait a minute. I want to double check the sound. Bear with me a moment. Okay. Okay, I turned the sound down to where I think it should be. Let me know if this is better or if you want me to turn it up a bit for the BGM.
タスクさんもですか？今の新たよりもっとはしゃいでたかもな。
I responded jokingly, and the other members of our party who were listening laughed.
なんか思ったよりみんな気楽そうでいい雰囲気ですね。俺もっと緊張してピリピリしてるもんかと。俺たちの役目はあくまで物資の輸送と事後調査だからな。
It's good? Okay.
肝心のうつろが出たのはもう3日も前だ。
Yeah, if there's ever a problem, like if I need to refine something, do tell me. There was little chance of seeing any combat, so our party only consisted of younger, less experienced soldiers. Even our commander was only chosen for the role because he was the oldest of us. At the same time, there was a mission to subdue the enemy being carried out concurrently in a separate location. That one was expected to turn into an all-out battle. What are we battling? Demons? Beasts? What are we battling? As a result, the more experienced troops were assembled in an elite group commanded by Takeri-sama, the royal prince. That meant there was an issue of available personnel.
でも3日前にことが起きて、その日のうちに連絡が来て俺たちが出発。で、都からこの村に着くまでがちょうど3日だから、ほぼ時間差なしってことですよね。いくら見つかいでも、そんなに早くこの辺りから都まで飛んでいけるなんてすごくないですか？
Okay, so we do have some kind of magic going on. Arata said earnestly, somewhat deep in thought.
都から遠い場所のお役目は、それに見合った人間が選ばれるんだ。より長い距離を早くかけられる使いを授かった戦士とか。じゃあ、俺なんかじゃ務まらないですね。いや別にだからどうだって話じゃないんですけど。
Oh. Arata murmured as if talking to himself. As he did, a brownish, almost black ball of fur appeared at his feet. It was a fat little tanuki! Oh, I love tanukis. They're so cute. Only its twitching, pointed nose stuck out from its rotund body as it sniffed around Arata's legs. I have seen Pompoko. It was so depressing.
こいつ気まぐれだし、あんまり賢くなさそうっていうか、そんなに遠くまでかけさせたら道に迷っちゃいそうで。
I love a cute little raccoon for a pet. At that remark, the tanuki snorted, and in an instant it was gone, as if it evaporated into thin air. It was a phenomenon we were no strangers to.
名前はつけてるのか？平吉って言います。
平吉。
俺、本当なら下に弟がいたんですよね。
That's so sad.
生まれてすぐに死んじゃったんだけど。
What? It's so sad.
まあ、どんくさいけど可愛いやつですよ。
That's so depressing. Oh my god. Throw the tanuki into the forest, Tuska. No. The tanuki. We have to protect the tanuki. Aww. I guess, it's not uncommon back then, childbirth and, children pass away, it's not uncommon. I could tell from Arata's cheerful demeanor that he truly cared for his familiar, although...
授かる使いの性格って自分に似るらしいぞ。
It was a common saying I once heard from my mother. I wasn't sure whether there was any truth to it, but it came to mind watching Arata with the charming little tanuki.
それ本当っすか?
The rest of the group started laughing again, at Arata's wide-eyed reaction. A small bird had just appeared in front of us. A brilliant blue kingfisher let out a trill from its long bill and looked up at us. Oh, so maybe that's a familiar? I heard the distinct sound of a human voice come from the kingfisher. Just like Arata's tanuki, this was no ordinary creature. It appeared not with the flapping of wings, but as if it had materialized from the environment. In the shoreline nation, we call them familiars. They seem to be some kind of nature spirits. Those humans who can practice magic are undoubtedly blessed. Through the use of familiars, messages can be conveyed across great distances. Oh my god, hello Yugen! Hello Yugen, welcome. We are playing some Prime BL today. We are playing LKYT. How are you today, Yugen? Oh my god, is that the aqua emote? Peak. Personally, I didn't believe it mattered whether you knew the theory or mechanism behind something you used. For example, nobody could explain how fire burned. Even so, we made use of fire, and life would be impossible without it. I consider this to be the same. We allowed the kingfisher familiar to lead us, and continued along the mountain trail. Wait, it looks like I missed something. It said that their messengers temporarily borrowed from the gods, but the truth is, no one quite knows what familiars are exactly. Okay.
こういう道案内もなんか無理っぽいよな。
Don't be so mean. Your cute little tanuki is adorable. Arata grumbled to himself as he referenced his familiar again.
見えてきた。
かわいいtanuki使いもんね。Uh-oh. That doesn't look very welcoming. It wasn't long before the grove of trees came to an abrupt end, and a desolate rocky mountain loomed ahead. The pitch-black cave peeked out from the rock face, and two soldiers with armaments similar to ours stood by the entrance. Our commander stepped forward as a representative and began to greet and exchange information with the two soldiers standing guard. What I was able to overhear of their conversation was the same story we had confirmed on our journey here. It had started 3 days ago. A hollow, a type of demon, had appeared by the river nearby, and the villagers fishing there had been attacked. Seemed that it had been comparable to a wolf in size. Among the types of known hollows, it wasn't that large, and on top of that, there was only one of them. In fact, the hollow had already been vanquished by the soldiers on site, so the creature no longer posed any threat. However, the fact that the hollow had appeared in the first place was a problem which remained to be dealt with. In fact, that was the most pressing matter. It was for that reason our party was dispatched from the capital to investigate the cause of the hollow's disappearance.
よし、向こうとの話はついた。とりあえず俺たちで穴に入るぞ。旅の疲れもあるだろうが、さっさと終わらせちまおう。
The visuals are beautiful. I like the character designs. Our commander returned to us and gave the signal to begin our task. Our duty was to enter the cave with the equipment we had brought from the capital. We were also to use the opportunity to investigate the layout of the cave and block any openings if necessary.
うつろに襲われた人はどうなりました？
ああ、まだ起き上がれないようだが、一命は取り留めたってよ。
That's good.
そうですか。それは良かった。
I felt a weight lift from my spirit once our commander returned with his report. Although they were nothing more than faceless strangers to me, it was still a relief to know they hadn't been killed. May have been a childish aspiration, but I had always wished to protect everyone, to keep them from dying. Because of that, I've always felt obsessively compelled to always try my absolute hardest. His hair is floofy.
新た、透析の用意はいいな。
Floofy.
はい。石ころもまとまった数あるとそれなりに重いっすね、やっぱり。
I like the world building. The world building is cool. The scenery is so good. I love the giant foreboding cave. Arata, who was tasked with carrying them, gestured with his eyes to the linen bag of rocks saddled on his back. I nodded, and our party began to march towards the cave's entrance. I can make a joke. I can make a joke here, but it would be in poor taste. Cave Ussie. All right, moving on.
確認を。
はい。
I crossed the threshold of the cave's entrance. It was pitch black, even directly near the entrance, due to an outcropping of rock blocking the light from outside. Couldn't even see one step ahead. I couldn't see even one step in front of me. God, I know how to read. As I had no idea what lay ahead. My vision was completely cut off by the darkness. I focused my concentration into my other senses, feeling the texture of the air on my skin and listening for the lightest of sounds. I didn't pick up any hint of danger. Seemed it was safe for the others to enter. I turned back and signaled to them with my hand. Arata and the others followed behind me, and each took out a luminescent stone. It's like a flashlight. One end, which had been shaped into a wedge tip, was placed against the rock floor, struck with a wooden mallet. When it was struck, it gave off a faint glow. It was the stone itself which emitted light when driven into the rock floor. It seemed to... That's a typo. Who did the checking of the grammar in this? It seemed to glow in response to the proximity of mystic force. The force of energy within the human body. Like, we need another beta. We need another beta tester to take another look at this. Well, I'm sorry. You forgot a whole word here. The OST is good. It is good. I like it. I was expecting a more classic Japanese sound to it, but this is good too. I don't remember. Reminds me of Pianissimo from Innocent Grey. The faint glow was cast across the rock walls of the cave, almost as though they were illuminated by natural glow moss. We continued striking luminescent stones as the 10 of us made our way deeper into the cave.
入り口付近からじゃわからなかったが、思ったよりも深そうだな。透析の備蓄を多めに持ってきておいてよかった。
Are you done? Okay. Just as the commander said, the winding nature of the cave made it unclear what lay ahead, but the overall length seemed manageable.
この洞穴の幅なら持ってきた分の樹木でも塞げそうですかね。
もう少し奥まで行ってみて、ある程度の構造を把握してから判断しよう。下手に塞いで別の場所に影響が出るのもまずい。
I don't like the use of the word half-assed here. You could have used a different word. You could have used half-hearted. You could have used half-baked. I guess baked wouldn't work because there's no ovens, but you could have used half-hearted. I don't know. I feel like you could have used a different word.
そうですね。奥でどの穴とつながっているかわからないですから。
Enchanted timbers are made from stone trees, a kind of parasitic tree that grows on black mineral that's mined in this nation. They differ from ordinary timbers in that they can expand to tens or hundreds of times their original size through the use of mystic force. Due to that particular attribute, they're primarily used for physically barricading caves such as these. You're just gonna barricade whatever creature's in there? Hollows appear in the various caves located throughout the mountains and valleys of the nation. It's said that they're called such because they emerge from hollows such as these.
よし、やるぞ。やってやるぞ。
Perhaps Arata was thinking of the nature of these hollows, but he slapped himself on the cheeks to rouse his energy.
もう少し肩の力を抜いても大丈夫そうだぞ。
That's just he's saying chill out. Our commander gave a bitter smile seeing Arata spin his wheels. The rest of our party seemed amused as well.
3日前に退治されたうつろが出てきたのは多分ここなんだろうが、まだ残っていたとしても1匹2匹だろ この人数なら十分に対応できる。
That sounds foreboding. That sounds ominous.
え、それって確かな情報なんですか？
さっきこの村の守護に話を聞いた。この辺りでうつろが出たって話はここ数十年聞いたことがないそうだ。
The commander added a few words of reassurance that the chance of combat seemed unlikely.
そういう土地柄、投石や自木の備蓄も少ないようでな。俺たちが少し多めに荷物を担いできたのも今回の調査用の他に村の備蓄分も含めてなんだ。
ああ、なるほど。もし備蓄が十分にあったら俺たちが来るより先に穴の調査も済ませてるでしょうからね。
Haruta let out a sigh, seemingly somewhat let down, and yet not looking any more relieved. I got a sense from the body language of the rest of the party that they were feeling less tense.
そっか。でもここに派遣された人たち何も出そうにないのに何年もずっと村を守ってるってのも退屈ですよね。それって意味あるのかな？
If I were to critique this, is that the commander sounds way too casual to come off like a commander. I mean, I'm not a professional translator, you know. I mean, I'm sure they have a very good reason for, you know, their choice of language. But, like, you know, forgetting words, like the word to, and, you know, like, including half-assed, I don't know, it's just, I would have picked different words.
備えというのは本来そういうものだからな。何があってもいいよう準備した上で何も起こらないのが一番いいんだ。無駄でも備えの意識をずっと絶やさず持ち続けることが大事なんだよ。それをずっとっていうのが何より難しいことなんだけどな。
Humans are adaptable, forgettable creatures. Even though our best practices may be swept aside by the forces of time and complacency, we would do well not to forget the teachings of our ancestors. At least the people of our nation have remained vigilant.
そっか。無駄でもいいんですね。というか、無駄に終わるかどうかなんて誰にもわからないんだ。
少なくとも今回村に守護がいなければ襲われた人は多分怪我だけじゃ済まなかっただろ。
ですね。そっか。こういう時のために何年も何十年もか。
Yeah, but it's for the safety of everyone. Arata murmured to himself seriously and then looked at me with a renewed expression on his face.
どうした？
いや、タスクさんのそういうところ改めて尊敬しちゃいます。俺も早く戦いたいとか浮かれたことを言ってる場合じゃないなって。そうやって真面目にコツコツ毎日励めたらいつかはタスクさんみたいに強くなれますかね。俺それが将来の夢なんです。
He's so down bad for us, chat. He wants to date us so bad, chat. こいつこの受けみたいな人が本当に僕たちの力になりたいってそういうの関係かな。A strange smile crept across my face as Arata's bashful confession. 恥ずかしかり告白. Arata made it sound like some kind of mature. Wait, Arata made it sound like some sort of mature kind of. That's a weird way to phrase it. Arata made it sound like some sort of mature kind of discipline, but the truth was that I was no different from him. I wanted to make full use of the skills I had acquired and to stake my life in battle. I had been filled with that childlike desire our entire journey. But it was just the impulse that was driving me in this particular moment, not a prideful dream or anything like that.
よせよ。俺だってまだ 2,3 度しか出陣の経験がない若手なんだから。一人だけでうつろを倒したこともないし。
Yet.
それに俺より強い人なんて都にたくさんいるだろ。
He's so humble. I said somewhat deceptively, now feeling suddenly embarrassed. From where I stood, I envied Arata's well-formed sense of goals and ideals.
でも稽古じゃ若手、いや都の中でもタスクさんはかなり上位の選手に勝ってるじゃないですか。王子様とも一度いい勝負をしたって聞いてますよ。
稽古は稽古。あくまで人間相手のものだからな。うつろとの戦いとは全然違うよ。
I felt my reply was sufficiently humble. Yet, Arata still looked at me with shining eyes as a smile crept across his face. Even so, I meant what I said. Hollows were beyond human imagining, and it wasn't wrong to think of them as fearsome demons. No one quite knew what hollows were, but it was well known that they instinctively attacked any living thing without discrimination, and they didn't hunt for food, but for the simple sake of killing. It was for this reason that they were considered an existential threat to human life, and like guardians had been established long ago, even in remote areas such as these. With each step we took deeper into the cave, we left the light further and further behind us. One of the party members with the luminescent stone struck another one along our path using a wooden mallet. Uh-oh. The moment he did, I felt a subtle chill run down my spine. The luminescent stone's phosphorescent glow illuminated the darkness. In the shapes of the newly lit cave wall, something appeared to be moving. It may have just been a trick of the eyes. I focused my attention again and scanned the areas of light and shadow to be sure. Just as our commander had said earlier, the likelihood of any great number of hollows in this cave was negligible. If there were any at all, I agreed with him that there would likely be only one or two. If this place was a dangerous nest of hollows, the capital would have dispatched a battalion ages ago to subdue them and steal the cave. Even so... So many doggos! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So many doggos! Nice doggy! Ooh! Nice. We're having like the novel kind of format right now. The moment I discovered what had been lurking in the darkness, my heart jumped painfully in my chest. Countless shadows, no, grotesque figures the color of shadow densely filled the cave. They were pitch-black, four-legged creatures like dogs or wolves. However, although they may have shared a superficial resemblance, they were unmistakably not ordinary animals. They were enshrouded in a black haze that seemed to absorb the light, and the parts of their body that were visible dripped with sticky pitch-black slime. Their black figures were not flesh and blood, but a tangible contamination that would corrupt anything they came into contact with. Nice prose. There were at least 20 of them. A nest of hollows this thick shouldn't have existed in such a remote area, and yet here it was, right before our eyes. There was almost no indication that these creatures were alive. Not only were they nearly impossible to detect in the dark, they didn't breathe or vocalize in any way. Even their footsteps were as quiet as an insect's. That's how we managed to get so close before we noticed them. This was very bad! I shouted a warning to the others. I witnessed the hollows descend upon us en masse. At the same time, I reached for my weapon at my hip. My companion's shouts and screams split my ears as I withdrew my sword from its sheath. Nearly every member of our party had fallen into a panic. This wasn't good. Losing one's composure during a battle only benefited the enemy. We were essentially handing victory to them. The reactions might have warranted, however. Never in my life had I seen a swarm of hollows this large. That, plus the fact that they had gotten the drop on us, meant that we were already at a severe disadvantage. Everyone was trying their best to protect themselves, and no one was taking control of the situation. On top of that, we were all young, with almost no real combat experience. No, Arata! Amidst the chaos, a shriek from Arata pierced my ears. I looked to see his hand gripped tightly around the hilt of his sword. He struggled in vain to unsheath it, but only succeeded in making rattling sounds. Even the most basic swordsmanship training had completely left his mind. I shouted at him as the melee was already underway. I saw the panic in his eyes reduce slightly when he noticed me. Arata finally had the sword out of its sheath, and he turned to face the advancing hollows, slashing at them as he screamed. I also launched an attack of my own as I parried a lunge from one of the creatures nearby. It was difficult to bring down a hollow with a single blow. The mucus-like substance oozing to their bodies made them surprisingly elastic and difficult to cut, and there was an uncanny agility to their movements. Wait, how is mucus? Mucus. Okay, I've been spelling mucus wrong, I guess. Anyway, where am I? The usual tactics of drawing them out into the open, slowing their movements with a barrage of arrows and moving in for the kill with the swords were all completely useless in this situation. With a quick flash of my sword, I severed one's limbs, which were thinner than its body, to first take away its mobility. Then, once the chances of a counterattack had been reduced, I moved in to strike a finishing blow using the full weight of my body. My blow separated the wolf-like hollow from its torso, sending it tumbling. Its mouth-like opening filled with teeth, opened and closed a few times before finally falling still. Okay, so you can kill it, that's good. The hollow's headless body lost its shape and melted into liquid. The black mucus-like substance smoked and shrank smaller and smaller, as though it were seeping into the ground. There were no doubt that these creatures were unlike anything from this world, but there was no time to be distracted by the wondrous horror of it. No sooner had I readied my sword in search of my next target than I saw a hollow creeping up on Anata from behind. Anata was frantically scanning his surroundings, but he had left his flag completely unguarded. I immediately rushed towards him. He threw himself onto the ground at my warning. The hollow attacking from behind missed its target, sailing over Anata's head. I rushed over to the hollow that had just landed in front of Anata and followed through with my sword. The steel of the blade responded sluggishly. I sensed that I had cut through the hollow's core. Anata had narrowly escaped, but the color hadn't returned to his face yet. The fallen hollow was still moving. Despite being cut in half, the hollow doubled back and retaliated against Anata, who let out a scream. I could see the creature's black fangs sink into his ankle. Driven by panic, Anata brought his sword down, frantically trying to cut off the hollow's head. I rushed over and split the hollow's head down the middle with a single powerful blow. Oh no, is it like vampirism? Where if you get bit, like you become one of them? I shouted at him as I remained on guard for any new adversaries. Anata desperately tried to calm his breathing, and the dark mist surrounding his wound began to vanish. It was this corruption carried by the hollows which caused all life to wither and die. Those of us born in this nation had the ability to clear the hollow's corruption from our body by circulating an invisible force in our bloodstream. We also had the ability to increase our physical strength by concentrating that same force in our hearts. This invisible force was called mystic force, and the technique of strengthening the body through mystic force was called magic. I had no idea how such things were possible, but it seemed to be a unique ability to the citizens of the Shoreline Nation. Anata choked out stiffly, having only just cleared the corruption from his wound. He had seen a new swarm of over 20 hollows closing in on us! Anata's face filled with dread. Unsurprising, considering our enemy's numbers had more than doubled in the blink of an eye. I, too, began to grow weary with despair. Behind us, the commander and the other men were huddled with their backs to one another, fending off the hollows. They were all desperately fighting for their own lives, so it seemed unlikely anyone would come to our aid. If this new group of enemies advanced on us in our current situation, it would all be over. We faced certain annihilation. I'm so glad he's calm. This would give Anata and the others the greatest chance to survive. It struck me as strange that this thought came to me instinctively. Sure, it was the only way to save Anata and the others. I sensed there was another critical component that I wasn't considering. Oh, that's right. I realized it the moment Anata said that. There was no guarantee I would survive. However, as the hollows lunged at us in a swarm, I shoved Anata back toward the others. He shrieked hysterically as he ran to rejoin the group. I readied my sword before the swarm. Naturally, I'd never battled a swarm this large before, to say nothing of facing it alone. Even so, there was no trace of fear in me. Quite the opposite. I felt a sense that I was finally carrying out my purpose, and my spirit was strangely calm. I had no idea what was going on with me. Had my mind finally cracked under the stress of the situation? Or was it the true nature of my character which had remained hidden to me all this time? It wasn't as though this was something I could determine rationally. Regardless, there was only one thing I had to do at this point, and I reveled in its simplicity. And so I would set out what I had to do. Fight and fight and fight and fight. All I had to do was fight until this body was destroyed. As I turned this driving force in my belly into a piercing scream, I launched myself towards certain death. Okay, we have a little intermission right now. What sort of life will bring one joy? Naturally, what's considered joy will vary from person to person. For some it's riches, for others health, and for some it's neither health nor riches, but being blessed with the love and fellowship of others. The conditions that bring one joy will vary greatly depending on one's personality and circumstances. However, it seems what brings one sorrow is largely the same among all people: danger and disaster. If one wishes to avoid sorrow, then it's necessary to defend against these things. For example, if a pitch-black chasm opens up on the road before you, most people would attempt to avoid it. They probably wouldn't so much as approach it. But what if you were born and raised in such a dark hole? And what if you knew that if you left the hole, the world would eventually be overrun with holes, the darkness swallowing up everything? Still, some might choose to leave anyway, yearning for a peaceful existence, hoping someone will fill up the hole. But our ancestors were different. The generations of people born and raised in the Shoreline Nation have chosen the path of living side by side with their destiny, standing against disaster. Beneath the ground of the Shoreline Nation, there are countless caves that have still not been accounted for over the years. It is said that those caves connect to the underworld, and from that underworld creep things which bring disaster. These are the Hollows, black demons which resemble animals, but which are not animals. The Hollows slaughter everything that lives and bring corruption to the land. This corruption causes plant life to wither, and the bodies of the dead to crumble to dust before your very eyes. According to legend, these Hollow lay waste to the earth every few thousand years, killing all living things. The calamitous age of darkness, or dark reign as it had been called, has befallen the earth many times in the past, each with repeated battles and defeats claiming many lives. Eventually, humans learned to prepare themselves, especially those who lived on disaster's doorstep, leaving them no choice, the citizens of the Shoreline Nation. According to legend, they have been preparing for their next dark reign since the time of the gods, building their knowledge, improving their skills, training soldiers, and investigating the caves and sealing them as needed to stave off the calamity that is the Hollows. They never gave up despite repeated defeats and heavy losses. Those who can fight become soldiers, and those who cannot provide their support in other ways. I did as well. From the time I was a child, I devoted myself to sword training, learning the magic necessary to fight the Hollows, and naturally becoming a soldier to protect this nation. There was never any doubt in my mind. Fortunately, I was cut out for it, and there was no other role I could fill. I considered myself lucky to have the ability to help others, and was glad to be appreciated. And to be completely honest, I enjoyed fighting. Handling weapons and improving my skills was genuinely fun. Additionally, I found the elements of battle enchanting. The stress of crossing swords with an opponent stronger than yourself, the fear, the tension, those exquisite moments when your life is tested by fate, facing the pain and anguish that battle brings, and that sense of accomplishment that can only be obtained by forging through it. I loved it more than anything. The killing was not in the taking of a human or animal's life. It wasn't clear if the Hollows even possessed anything that could be called life, but I bore them no ill will or malice. Regardless, I had a powerful desire to fight, to save the lives of all who lived in the world. I had yet to experience what could be called the true life or death struggle. Even so, I felt certain that the time would come. I was certain of it. And that moment was now.
記録しよう。
I felt no fear. After all, this was what I had spent my life training for. I only had to do what I had originally set out to do. I'm just gonna get a sip of water. I focused my awareness on my heart. I could feel it beating powerfully, and my blood pulsing rapidly, circulating the mystic force throughout my body. For a moment, an inky black haze enveloped my field of vision. The passage of time seemed to slow, and my muscles bulged like the shimenawa, straining under my clothes. I dodged the attacking blow and struck a slashing blow along its side as it passed. Wielding my blade with increased speed due to mystic force, my blow wrought a greater level of damage than was possible by an ordinary human, splitting the hollow cleanly in two. I avoided the corruption that was sent flying in the form of black smoking ooze, and at the same time I caught a glimpse of another of the creatures flanking me with the speed of a flying arrow. I had been surrounded by the swarm. I would be done for whether I dodged left or right. Without a moment's hesitation, I leapt straight into the air. I thought leapt was LEAPT, but alright. With that single bound, I was able to reach the ceiling of the cave, which was at least the height of two grown men above me. Then I inverted myself mid-air and placed the soles of my feet firmly on the cave ceiling, flexing my knees to accelerate as I jumped again, launching myself straight down at an incredible speed. One of the hollows, unable to respond to an attack from its blind spot overhead, was decapitated in a single stroke. I stayed on the ground for no more than a heartbeat before again using the full force of my body to leap, or rather, fly. I evaded the hollow attacking from behind, this time flying sideways to plant my feet on the wall of the cave. Then I rebounded off the rock face, fighting myself off like a shot. I accelerated, cutting a sharp angle with my trajectory, and cut deeply into the hollow's chest faster than it could react. Another hollow's head was severed, sending it sailing through the air. The key to avoiding the hollow's attacks was to put even faster than they could. Acceleration was also necessary to put enough force behind my blade to cut through their tough bodies. Confined spaces such as this cave were often the battleground for fights with the hollows. The multi-directional jumping and slashing maneuver I was taking advantage of was but one tactic that had been developed and passed down for the purpose of fighting hollows in caves. Of course, this strategy was only possible if one's body had been strengthened through magic. Victory required making full use of superhuman strength and reflexes, as well as taking total advantage of the environment. After all, most humans wouldn't be content to simply wait to be slaughtered. Our history is entirely in the results of our ingenuity and determination to survive, and it will lead to our futures as well. However, at the end of the day, humans are still flesh and blood creatures. Even magical abilities had their limits. The physical burden was even greater than that of ordinary battle, and it brought on fatigue. In other words, it could only be used for a limited time. I had slain 2 more hollows before I was suddenly beset by dizziness and shortness of breath. My heart was pounding so furiously that I felt I might tear open. No matter how much air I took in, my lungs felt as though they were drowning, and my vision became dark, as though I were looking through a dense fog. Under normal circumstances, one would never take on this many hollows single-handedly. Magic was intended to be used intermittently among a group of others to offset one another's recovery time. By using magic continually for such an extended period, I was already approaching my limit. I couldn't say what my fate would be once that occurred. However, I focused my fighting spirit into my heart in an effort to keep the fatigue at bay. I had become nauseous. I felt a pain as though my body had become dark and cloudy, and a fiery heat was burning its way through my body. Several blood vessels had ruptured, and blood was flowing from both my eyes. Oh my god. Regardless, I faced the onslaught of hollows and continued to wield my blade. I knew that if the swarm made it past me, the others behind me were doomed. That much was certain. That was unacceptable, and I wouldn't allow it. I had to hold this new group of hollows back until the others could retreat from the cave. I attempted to intercept a hollow as it descended upon me, but the muscles in my arm cramped and I couldn't move it properly. Both my legs had become much heavier than before, as though they were made of lead. I just barely managed to evade the hollow, but my posture was failing. Shortly after I came to a stop, another attacked me from the side. The mouth-like opening in its head opened wide, and the black creature bit me. I immediately bent my left arm to shield my neck. I momentarily hardened my skin using magic, but it was ineffective, and the creature's fangs sank into my flesh. A searing pain coursed through my left forearm like fire. The sharp black vein-like protrusions went deep into my arm, penetrating armor, fat, and muscle. If not for the armor, it surely would have bitten my arm clean off. I gritted my teeth and endured the pain of its fangs piercing all the way down to the bone. I brought my sword, still clutched in my right hand, up against the hollow's throat and thrust it forcibly upwards. The hollow was so focused on biting off my left arm that I couldn't avoid my blade. I cut upward with all my might, forcefully severing its head from its body. This is exciting. The hollow's head, still attached to my arm, began to melt into black ooze before immediately turning to dust. What little mystic force remained in my body concentrated around my wound, neutralizing the corruption there. The black haze-like corruption had been extinguished, but a sharp pain coursed through my heart. Oh no. How could it be the end? We just started. I could sense the strength pouring out of my body, like air leaking from a perforated balloon. Did they have balloons back then? I guess so. My sword had become absurdly heavy. I knelt in place, not even able to rise to my feet. I had pushed myself beyond fatigue and could no longer move my body. I could no longer perform magic either. If the hollow bit me now, I wouldn't be able to neutralize the corruption. In other words, it seemed like this was it for me. Sadly, I didn't even have the strength to turn my head to look behind me, to assess the state of the rest of the party. As long as they managed to escape safely while I was fighting, that was enough for me. But what if they hadn't? All I could do was apologize to them. I had wanted to fight to protect everyone, but in the end, it seems I wasn't strong enough even for that. Apparently there were some things that were impossible, no matter how hard one tried. And so... my thoughts went to my mother and younger sister waiting for me at home. I can never make up for leaving them like this, but I hope my father would at least be proud of me for putting up a valiant fight. On my knees and drained of strength, the swarm of hollows surrounded me. I could see more and more emerging from the darkness behind them. Even so, I kept my eyes open, wanting to die with my final moments seared into them. At least my courage as a warrior still remained. The last thing I saw was... a hollow, disintegrating into black dust as it was split in half in a flash of silver. We're saved! And then through blurred vision, I saw someone from behind. Is that the prince? It was a tall, sturdy figure in battle gear, wielding a naginata. He had long black hair that flowed gracefully, like a dragon's tail in the wind over the battlefield. It must have been... Gotta save. I recognized that voice, and I was left in awe. It is the prince! Why was he here? I tried to ask, but I no longer had a voice. It was Takeru-sama, son of the Shoreline Nation's current ruler. He should have been commanding another squad posted elsewhere on a mission to subdue the Hollows. And yet he had suddenly appeared from deep inside this cave. I was grateful to have been saved from my predicament, but my mind couldn't stop wrestling with how this was possible. So naturally, my question was... From deep in the cave, behind Takeru-sama and the Hollows, came an earth-rattling war cry of several men, accompanied by the sound of thundering footsteps to answer my question. A wave of silver rushed forth out of the darkness, and with the soldiers' glimmering blades reflecting the light, their squad numbered in the dozens, and they engaged the swarm of Hollows. We're saved! Amidst them, Takeru-sama once again wielded his long naginata. He easily dispatched an attacking hollow with graceful and elegant traditional swordsmanship.
後継ぎなど、お前がいるだろうが。
いやいや、奥方やお子はどうなるのですか。
おう、そうだった。
I forgot my wife and children!
心配はいらん。ゆい、玉木、父は死なんぞ。
ああ、だからそんな前に。まったく、兄上の戦好きにも困ったものだ。
Among those commanding soldiers was one of the shoreline nation's most distinguished military families, the Mitsurugi brothers, Misao and Makoto.
記録するぞ。
そうか。奥で繋がって。
Takeda-sama's forces must have already engaged the swarm of hollows at their posting and obliterated them. They probably continued advancing to clean up any stragglers and found a connecting passage underground that brought them here. Hollows would never retreat, even if they were unmatched. They would keep attacking the living until the bitter end. That meant the swarm couldn't have been driven here by Takeda-sama's forces. Rather, Takeda-sama and his party must have tracked them to this location. But I could worry about that later. For now, I managed to muster my last drop of strength to rise to my feet so I could join the battle.
無理をするな、タスク。
Takeru cut down another hollow, protecting me as I staggered on my feet.
お前は十分に戦った。下がっていろ。
The battle was wrapping up. Thanks to the spirited efforts of these dozens of elite soldiers, the hollows were being obliterated one by one, surely thinning their numbers. At long last, all of them had been extinguished. The final creature melted into a pool of slime and vanished as if soaking into the earth beneath us. We're saved! After the cleanup operations were complete, I returned to the surface with Takeru-sama's squad. Let me get a sip of water.
おかげで窮地を救われました。感謝いたします、タケル様。
He gives top to me. Ponytail.
気にするな。任務のうちだ。
Takeru gives top to me. Even my expression of gratitude didn't bring a smile to Takeru-sama's face, and he responded with few words.
お前こそ単独でよくあの数を抑えたな。命を惜しまぬ働きぶり、見事だった。
Aww.
はいはい、記録ね。
I felt truly honored to receive such praise from Takeru-sama regarding the recent battle. The leader of the shoreline nation, the Emperor, was not determined by bloodline, but Takeru-sama, who excelled in his fighting abilities, was widely considered to be next in line for the throne. He was said to be the strongest warrior among our nation's entire armed forces. He had even engaged in practice battles against his father, and the results had been 2 losses and 1 draw. This may have been the first time we'd spoken to each other directly. We were of different social standings, and he was already reticent to begin with. However, from the few words he exchanged, I got the sense that he possessed a wise and noble character. I wouldn't say I was nervous standing next to him, but rather that his presence had a positive kind of sobering effect. I don't know if I should think of him as a hero, but he was idolized by everyone as the ideal candidate to be our next emperor, and I was of the same mind.
おう、タケル。どうにかこっちの穴も制圧したな。とんだお仕事になっちまった。やれやれだ。
The Mitsurugi brothers approached us. Misao-sama, the elder, called out to me cheerfully as well.
そっちのお前は、確か、滝殿のせがれだったな。
はい、滝の子、タスクと申します。
Misao-sama nodded his head in acknowledgement of my introduction, as if to say, how's it going?
大した猛者ぶりを見せたそうではないか。やはり血は争えん。カエルの子はカエルよな。
The younger sibling Makoto-sama looked displeased at his brother's hearty laugh and turned back to face the cave's entrance.
しかし兄上、こんな西の果てにあれほどの規模の群れが現れるとは。うつろの出現範囲が変わってきているのでしょうか。
確かにな。俺たちが思うよりも早く大地に汚れが広がっているのかもしれん。
その昔は都も今よりずっと緑が豊かだったとか。この辺りもいずれ都のように枯れてしまうのでしょうか。
Takeru-sama had been silent and motionless, as if deep in thought, before he lifted his head and looked at me.
タスク、樹木の備蓄はどの程度ある？
Apparently he had been pondering how to deal with this cave. Now that the number of hollows had been verified, it was too dangerous to simply to simply leave this area under the observation of guardians as it had been up to this point. He'd apparently concluded that it was necessary to seal this cave first, before worrying about its impact on other areas.
都から担いできたのは隅田原で4票分です。村にある備蓄分はそれよりもっと少ないかと。
They were also the ones that Takeda-sama's forces had brought. They were here on combat duty, though, so they probably had even fewer resources to seal the cave than we did.
到底足りんか。俺たちが通ってきた洞穴まで含めるとかなりの規模になるだろうからな。
やるなら通じている指導も全て一度に潰さなければ意味がないですからね。そうなると作業の人手も全く足りない。
今回の総統戦じゃそれなりの被害を被ったからな。正直疲弊した兵たちを休ませたいのもある。
Okay. Takeda-sama listened to the exchange between the Mitsuriki brothers before finally nodding his head solemnly.
あれらがどこから現れたのか探らねばならない。取り急ぎ都へ使い送り増援を要請することにしよう。記録する。
No, I didn't mean to do that. Takeda-sama murmured something and a faint white light appeared in the air before our eyes. Suddenly, the light took on the form of a beautiful snow-white waterfowl. It was Takeda-sama's familiar, a white heron. Oh. The bird gracefully spread its wing and took flight. Then it vanished once more into the sky, as if it had evaporated. What? What happened? Oh no. As I stood and captivated by the white heron's beauty, a pained scream suddenly entered my ears. It was Arata's voice. It was coming from the survivors of the group. Takeda-sama lowered his gaze and turned to face them. I thought Arata had managed to escape the battle mostly unscathed, but... Oh, this is hot. It's hot. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry, it's hot.
記録します。
Oh, that's a wound. That's a wound right there. Are they gonna have to cut off the arm? There's a tourniquet. There's a tourniquet. There's a wound. When I found him, he was being held down by the other members of our squad. Why couldn't he like cure the corruption, get rid of the corruption? Maybe he was too tired, I don't know. Hot. When I saw the injury he sustained on his right arm, I understood fully what was going on. The area around the wound had become dark, as though we're infected. Oh, you gotta lop that off, you gotta get rid of that arm. It's okay, you have one other. As though we're infected, and that blackness was slowly spreading. The hollow's corruption had taken hold. It looked as if he had been bitten again during battle, and had been unable to clear the infection there. If he still had sufficient mystic force in his body, he should have been able to resist the corruption from his injury. However, just like me, he had depleted the power during the fight. If he had become afflicted with the corruptive poison while his mystic force was depleted, there would be no way to remove it from his system. Just lop off the arm. But if it's already in your bloodstream, I don't know. Which meant that there was nothing we could do but watch and wait for him to die as the corruption spread and turned his body to dust. I'm sorry, I shouldn't find this hot. I do! Oh no, a helpless little Uke being held down by a bunch of sweaty men in the middle of the forbidden, barren wilderness with nothing but nerves and steel. The others were trying to refuse him. Wait, the others were trying to convince him, but Arata was shaking his head in violent refusal. Don't you have the other arm? Don't you have the other arm? I understood his reason all too well. If he were maimed, he would no longer be able to function as a soldier. Even with the magic that had been passed down through the shoreline nation, regenerating severed limbs was still impossible. I got news for you, it's still impossible now. Great voice acting. I'm sorry, that's still really hot.
記録しよ
Wait. Ooh, I can zoom it. Hot. Hot, hot. Yeah.
タスクさんみたいにみんなを守れるような強い戦士になりたいんです。あなた
It's fine. I understood his feelings so intimately that it pained me. My chest tightened, wish I could do something for him. For the males born in our nation, our first dream is to follow the path of a soldier. We all grow up conscious of our duty to fight, to protect our families, our nation, and even our world. Naturally, one can make a living in other professions, but becoming a soldier was considered the highest accomplishment. Arata had finally achieved that dream. Tough. That's the breaks. So to have this dream suddenly crushed on his first mission must have left him feeling like a failure. All the more for someone like Arata, whose personality was so sincere. I understood his feelings all too well.
戦士でなくともできることはたくさんある。
Yeah, you could be like a healer, you could be like a blacksmith, you could be a husband, there's lots of things. Tried to convince him, but his face twisted in delicious despair.
そんな
死んでしまえばそれでおしまいだ。生きて。
死んだ方がマシです。戦えなくなっちまうぐらいなら俺はねえタスクさんだってそうでしょ。
This is where you lie. This is where you lie and say, no, I would live. His pained voice pierced my heart. He was absolutely right. I couldn't imagine myself as anything but a soldier. Fighting opponents stronger than myself was the only thing I was interested in, and the only thing I was capable of. Here I was telling Arata, who was on the same path as me, that he should give up on his dream and choose another path. It's a life or death situation. I could try to rationalize it all I wanted, but I would only be lying to myself. Even so...
ダメだ。生きろ。生きてくれ。あなた。
They're gonna show it? Ever since I was a child, I had naively wished that no one would ever die in front of me. Even now as an adult, I would do anything in my power to prevent it. That's why I fought without regard for my own life earlier. As long as I could save and protect the others, that included Arata's life as well. So this was merely selfishness on my part, having little to do with Arata. It was nothing more than stubborn sentiment. But I was alright with that. Even if Arata never forgave me for the rest of his days, I felt I could accept that as long as it was my decision. It was that self-awareness that gave me the resolve necessary to kill Arata's dream.
俺がやる。
Ooh. Intimate. Brought my hand to the sword on my hip. It wasn't that I thought this act would absolve me of guilt. It was simply something I felt I had to do. Lop off that arm. Let's go. Arata began to struggle violently. The others held him down as his face twisted in English. Honestly, we should have more intimate, drawn-out, agonizing amputation scenes in shonen. Oh my god! Just then, a dark brown furball, Arata's Tanuki familiar, appeared out of nowhere. Aww, baby! Baby! Oh, look at that cute little face. Oh my god. I will do anything this Tanuki wants me to do. It looked up at me and squeaked once, as if protecting its master. Oh my god. Aw, a pained moan escaped out of his lips and he burst into tears. Aw, I could tell the strength to resist was leaving his body, as if he had already resigned himself. Yeah, cry harder. Cry harder. If its master died, the familiar would disappear as well. I didn't know whether they also died or went to another place, but that would be the case with Arata and Heikichi as well. At least Arata didn't seem to want to part with Heikichi, and that was why he decided to accept life, even if it meant losing his arm and his livelihood as a soldier. It must have been too much to bear, like once again losing the familiar who bore the name of his younger brother, who perished shortly after birth. Even if that decision meant giving up on his dream. I withdrew my sword from its sheath. It had nicks in its steel from the fierce battle, and it reflected the light coldly.
許せ、あなた。
Am I gonna show it? I stood up before him as tears streamed from his eyes and readied my sword above my head. I was no longer conflicted. Rather, there was no more time to be conflicted. Not that it would be consolation, but I focused my technique on causing as little pain as possible. Because of the oath I had sworn to myself that no one would die. I would steal out of the soldier as a future with a... what the hell did I say? I would steal Anata's future as a soldier with a single blow. I brought my sword down with all my heart. Takeru-sama's request had been received, and a replying familiar had been sent by the capital. Wait, that's it? That's it? They're not gonna show it? Boo! Boo! Hiss! According to its message, additional troops would be dispatched as requested for the purposes of performing full cleanup and containment operations in the area. Show me the arm! The cleanup and containment operations went without saying, but the bodies of those killed in battle simply wouldn't be left behind in the cave. At the very least, the identification tags for each of them would be needed to be recovered and returned to their surviving family members. That would undoubtedly require additional manpower as well. Show me the arm, goddammit! I want to see the Gudo. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the BL. Those of us who had survived were integrated with Takeru-sama's forces, which were then divided into two separate units. Okay, they're not gonna show the arm. They're not gonna show it.
記録します。
They chickened out. No Gudo. The injured and inexperienced, blah 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 blah. Okay, we're not showing the rest. Okay. Welp. Looks like they don't want to show us any actual blood, which is a weird choice. Not that I like Gudo, I don't like Gudo, but like it can be like it's like the non-con of it can be hot. Okay? Yeah. That is LKYT. I hope you all liked it. I liked it. It was great. All right. Well, that's all we got today. All right, everyone. I hope you all had lots of fun today. Thank you to everyone who came. Thank you for the new people who came. Thank you to the lurkers, and thank you for the donation. Thank you, Pumpkin, Yugid, Nanashi, and Ket. Thank you, Cemetil, Sarabin, Hajinichi, River, Dolcino, Naruko, Halo, Xenomorphica. I think that's everyone. Alright. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm gonna see who I can raid over on Twitter. Please don't forget, I still have one slot open for commissions, and you can donate anytime to my crowdfund for the game if you would like to support it. There's the link in the chat. If you want to support it, I would be so grateful, but you don't have to, of course. Alright, that's all I have for today. I will see you on Saturday. We're going to be playing Nurse Love Addiction, which is a wonderful Yuri game. I love it. And I'm going to try and not be depressed that I can't go to Fanime. That's all I got for today. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you so much. Please continue to spread the word about my crowdfund, about my game, and hopefully it'll get more press coverage. Thank you all. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, bye-bye.